Gather round the campfire, folks. The Appalachians ain't just mountains, they're the bones of the earth, older than trees, older than most life itself. Stretching from Alabama's wilds to Maine's fog-shrouded peaks, these ridges hold secrets whispered by Cherokee elders, Scots-Irish settlers, and miners long turned to dust. What you're about to hear ain't campfire yarn spun for chills. These are accounts from hikers, locals, and survivors, true tales passed down, etched in journals, reported in faded newspapers, and shared in hushed tones on backroads. They've haunted the holler for generations. Sleep tight. If you can. It started in the Red River bottoms near Adams, Tennessee, where the Bell family built a log cabin on fertile land they thought was a fresh start. John Bell, a farmer of means, noticed oddities first, faint knockings on the walls at dusk, like knuckles rapping for entry. Then came the whispers, low, guttural voices debating theology in the dead of night, audible only to the family. By 1817, the entity revealed itself as Kate, a witch spirit claiming vengeance for a forgotten slight. She tormented young Betsy Bell most cruelly, slapping her face with unseen hands that left welts like branding irons, pinching her skin until it bruised purple. Objects flew across rooms, beds shook like they were caught in an earthquake. John Bell's tongue swelled one night, slurring his prayers, and he spat out a vial of liquid that killed a family cat on contact. The witch spoke through Betsy in a voice like grinding gravel, predicting John's death to the day. On December 20, 1820, he collapsed mid-sentence, foaming at the mouth. An autopsy found a black object in his stomach, unidentified to this day. Neighbors heard the entity cackle as he died, vowing to return in 7 years. It did, harassing Andrew Jackson himself on a visit. He fled, calling it the most hellish thing he'd seen. Betsy lived to 115, never marrying, haunted by slaps in her sleep. The cave on the Bell property still echoes with knocks, and locals swear the air turns sour there at midnight. It's said Kate waits for the 7th generation to claim her due. High on Brown Mountain's bald slopes in Pisgah National Forest, the Cherokee and Catawba once waged brutal wars, their battles spilling blood into the Yadkin River. Legend holds that after one massacre, the women of the losing tribe lit torches to search for their fallen, torches that never extinguished, bobbing like fireflies through the fog. In 1916, National Park Service botanist George Lutz and a survey team camped near the summit. At dusk, they saw them, orbs of pale blue and amber light, dancing 100 feet above the tree line, weaving in patterns like a spectral square dance. Lutz fired his rifle at one. It split into two, then reformed, mocking him. The lights grew brighter, illuminating twisted oaks that seemed to lean in, branches like skeletal fingers. Scientists from Appalachian State University documented them in the 1970s, plasma-like glows defying wind, appearing in clusters of 3 to a dozen. Witnesses report whispers in an ancient tongue, and one hiker in 2005 felt a cold hand on his shoulder as the lights pulsed overhead. Cherokee elders say they're the ghosts of the women, still searching, forever lost. Venture too close, and the lights lead you astray. Hikers vanish, found days later babbling of ghost fires that burned without heat. Deep in the Nantahala forest, where the little Tennessee River carves gorges like veins, lived Utlanta, the Spearfinger. A witch of the Nunnahi, she wore a dress of flint scales that scraped like thunder when she walked. Her right finger was a sharpened obsidian spear, longer than a man's forearm, dripping with venom that turned blood to stone. She mimicked a grandmother's voice to lure Cherokee children from villages, her spear piercing their livers, her favorite meal, stolen without a wound. One boy, scalped but surviving, described her face, wrinkled as shale, eyes like polished jet, but her chest throbbed unnaturally, hiding a heart of quartz. The medicine men tracked her to Whiteside Mountain in 1790, where she fled, shedding her skin like a snake to reveal a hag's form. They chipped her legs with flint arrows until she crawled, begging in her true voice, a hiss like steam over coals. As she died, her spear finger crumbled to dust, but her stone heart rolled into a crevice, beating faintly. Hunters still find liverless deer, and children hear Grandma calls at dusk. In 2018, a trail cam captured a figure with elongated limbs near the Chattooga River, its hand ending in a jagged point. The Cherokee warn, cover your ears at her call, or she'll claim your innards next. In the shadowed hollers of Pennsylvania's endless mountains, where the Susquehanna coils like a serpent, Mother Tabitha was once a healer, brewing salves from ginseng and bloodroot. But grief twisted her. Her children died in a smallpox raid, their bones gnawed by wolves. She wandered into the woods, vowing to borrow the living to fill her empty cabin. Tabitha's form withered to bones wrapped in rags, her eyes sunk into sockets like dry wells. She knocks thrice at doors of lone houses, offering warm milk for the wee ones. If invited in, she steals children, replacing them with bundles of twigs that scream like infants until dawn. In the 1920s, a town near Tioga refused all babysitters after she took 3 siblings in one night. The eldest girl escaped, clawing through brambles, babbling of a lady made of sticks who hummed lullabies while cracking bones like kindling. The children's remains were found in Tabitha's cave, articulated into macabre puppets. Modern reports from the Pine Creek Gorge describe a skeletal woman peering from trailheads, her bony fingers tapping rhythms on trees. One hiker in 2015 heard the knock at his tent. Opening it, he saw only fog, but his boots were filled with small, polished bones. The rule persists: never answer a knock alone in the woods. Winter 1861, near Sacramento in the Pennyroyal Forest, Confederate raider Nathan Bedford Forrest ambushed Union troops in a blizzard. Amid the chaos, Private Elias Crow was clubbed unconscious, left for dead by his fleeing comrades. He awoke at dawn, starving, scavenging a farmhouse owned by Union sympathizer Amos Hale. Hale chained Crow to a bed upstairs, forcing him to chop wood by day. On the third night, Crow seized an axe for escape but was shot in the leg. As Hale's pistol jammed, Crow lunged, only for Hale to cleave his head clean off in a spray of arterial blood. Hale buried the body shallow in the hog pen, the head tossed into the creek. By 1875, new owners of the cabin heard chains rattle and boots thud on the stairs. Farmer Clint Nall awoke one night to a tug on his blanket, a translucent torso in tattered gray, neck a ragged stump oozing black ichor. It vanished at candlelight, but hoofbeats echoed outside. Locals report the rider still, a headless figure on a spectral steed, axe raised, galloping foggy lanes near the Green River. In 1942, a trucker swerved to avoid it, crashing into a ditch. Witnesses saw the rider pause, then dissolve into mist. Crow's vengeance rides eternal, seeking his missing skull. On Georgia's Blood Mountain, where the Appalachian Trail snakes through rhododendron thickets, a spectral woman in white appears to drivers on Highway 180. She's the ghost of a Cherokee maiden slain during a tribal war, her blood staining the peak red, hence the name. In 1937, moonshiner Jed Harlan picked her up near Blairsville, her dress sodden, face veiled in lace. She whispered of a lover lost in battle, asking to be dropped at the summit. When Harlan turned, she was gone, his truck's passenger seat damp with spring water, wildflowers scattered on the floor. Hikers on the trail hear her wail during storms, a keening that mimics wind through laurel. In 1985, a group of it-through hikers camped near Slaughter Creek. One awoke to her silhouette, translucent, combing hair with a bone comb. She vanished at dawn, leaving behind a single moccasin embroidered with raven feathers. Recent dashcams capture her thumb extended in the rain, vanishing on approach. Locals say she seeks her warrior spirit. Give her a ride, and you'll find your own regrets unearthed, voices from the grave murmuring your deepest shames. In the Monongahela National Forest's Blackwater Falls, where hemlocks choke the light, the Wendigo stirs, a gaunt cannibal spirit born of starvation, its moose skull head crowned with frozen antlers, eyes like embers in a dying fire. Algonquian tales warn of men who taste human flesh in famine, transforming into insatiable beasts. Logger Amos Reed, in 1892, vanished during a brutal winter near Parsons. His camp found shredded, tents torn by claws like scythes, blood frozen in arcs on snow. Reed reappeared weeks later, emaciated, skin stretched over ribs like drumheads, babbling in a voice like cracking ice, hungry. Always hungry. He devoured his own hand that night, gnawing through bone, then fled into the woods. Trackers followed prints that shifted from boots to claws. In 1974, a Seneca hunter near Spruce Knob heard whispers, "Join us," and saw Reed's form, 10 feet tall, elongated limbs dragging, breath a fog of rot. It lunged, but bullets passed through mist. Whispers persist on audio recordings from the Otter Creek wilderness, guttural pleas for meat. Eat lost hikers jerky at your peril, the Wendigo smells desperation, and its hunger is never sated. In the cradle of 3 streams near Lee's MC Ray College, the demon dog prowls, a hellhound with fur black as coal tar, eyes glowing like forge embers, jaws unhinging to reveal fangs serrated as saw teeth. Born of a hanged preacher's curse in the 1700s, it guards unholy ground at St. John's Church. In 1988, 2 Appalachian State students drove the foggy Watauga River Road after a kegger. Their headlights caught twin red orbs. The beast lunged, shattering the grille with a paw like hammered iron. It pursued for miles, bounding on unnatural legs, saliva hissing on asphalt like acid. The driver, Mark Ellis, swerved into a ditch. The dog circled, growling hymns in a voice like gravel in a thresher. It clawed the door, leaving gouges that smoked. They escaped on foot to the churchyard, where it halted, whining like a whipped cur before dissolving into shadow. Parishioners report it still, a low snarl before midnight mass, paw prints circling graves. Feet it scraps at your door, and it claims your soul as tithe. On the Appalachian Trail's 100-mile wilderness in Maine, hiker Geraldine Jerry Largy, 66, veered off trail July 22, 2013, to relieve herself. Her GPS failed in the boggy spruce, fog swallowed the blazes. She texted her husband, in some trouble. Lost since yesterday. Off trail 3 or 4 miles. Call police. The message is never sent, dead zones in the Katahdin wilds. Jerry survived 26 days, her journal a litany of despair, berries blackened her tongue, streams tasted of peat and regret. She wrote poems to her daughter, sketched maps that looped into spirals. One entry, voices in the trees, my name, over and over. Not human. Too many mouths. Search planes buzzed overhead, she waved her jacket, but canopy hit her. Her body, mummified by autumn chill, was found November 2016, 2,300 feet from the trail, phone clutched like a talisman. No animal marks, but her bootlaces were retied in knots she'd never use, tight, ritualistic. Maine game wardens whisper of the whisperers, lost souls who lure the living with mimic cries. Jerry's texts, undelivered, now echo in rangers' warnings, stay on path, or the woods claim your words forever. In Clearfield County's Moshannon State Forest, the Corrigan family farm backed onto pine barrens where coal veins snake underground. In 1975, 12-year-old Tommy Corrigan chased his dog into the gloaming, flashlight beam slicing fog like a knife. A guttural cough froze him, a shape loped from the underbrush, 7 feet of hyena muscled horror, furred like wet tar, forepaws human-like, hind like a wolf's. Its muzzle elongated, teeth yellow as quartz, eyes reflective slits that locked on his. It reared upright, sniffing the air with a snout that peeled back to reveal a lolling tongue. Tommy bolted, the beast pursued on all fours, then bipedal, covering ground in bounds that shook the earth. It slammed the porch, splintering rails, as his father fired a shotgun, buckshot tore fur, but it howled, a sound like tearing sheet metal, and fled. The dog? Gutted, ribs splayed like a book. Tommy's father, a Korean vet, boarded windows nightly after. In 1992, loggers near Penfield snapped a photo, upright canine, head thrown back mid-howl. Tommy, now grown, avoids the woods, haunted by dreams of paws scratching his door. The dog manhunts the scent of fear, and in Appalachia's veins, fear runs deep. These stories ain't just echoes, they're warnings carved in the rock. The Appalachians remember everything, every spilled blood, every broken vow. If you hike the trail or drive the blue highways, heed the old rules, don't whistle at night, cover mirrors in new houses, and if you hear your name in the wind, walk the other way. What's your untold fear from the mountains? Share below, but remember, some things listen.